All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell by the thumbnail and my unbelievably impressive job decorating the studio, it's Christmas time. And Christmas time means the over-commercialization of an otherwise family-based holiday and the need for big-ass Christmas lists so people know what to waste their money on when it comes to you and your hobbies. So, last year, I put together this video called A Gift Guide for Hunters, and it was actually super popular, and a lot of people found it very helpful. The goal with this gift guide is it should be like a link that you can send to like an aunt or an uncle or one of your cousins, and it's like they never know what to get for you. Or you're a hunter, so they get the same weird thing from Canadian Tire every year. I'm Canadian, so I'm trying to think of what the analogy for Canadian Tire or the comparable store for Canadian Tire would be down in the States. But they'll get you something meant for like a super old school hunter, like one of those really loud pillows that has those like crunchy beads that when you sit on it, it gets warm. I only bring this up because I think I bought one for my dad like 3 or 4 years running when I was a small child, because you would literally just go to the store, go to the hunting department and grab like 3 or 4 $20 items off the rack. So my goal was to put together a list of gifts that was like usable and practical and like kind of cool and not overly expensive, but aimed at the needs of a mountain hunter. Because if people are going to blow their money over the holidays, they might as well blow it on shit that you're going to use. So I've got 10 gift ideas. They're all under or around $100, give or take 10 or 15 bucks. And I'm going to run through them one at a time and give a little context so that if somebody's watching this who doesn't know a whole lot about hunting, they still have enough information to go out and buy this product for whichever loved one of theirs is into hunting. Now, one quick piece of housekeeping. I launched the Bow of Your Dreams raffle last week. So there are 125 tickets. They are $40 each. And if you win, you can select any aluminum compound bow of your choice. And I will also give you $500 for accessories. So you could do a rest, you could do a sight, or if you've already got that, you could dump the money on a new arrow setup, whatever you want. Any aluminum riser compound bow and $500 for accessories. If you want to participate in that, go to mindful-reviews.com. I'm slowly narrowing down the selections for my 6-month bow review. Up first is going to be the Matthews Lift. I'm headed to the bow shop in 2 days to pick that bow up, so stay tuned. Tons of archery content on the way. So I don't want this to be a super long video, so I'm going to dive right into it. First up, and these are in no particular order whatsoever, but first up is a Z-Packs inflatable pillow. This comes in at $51 Canadian, and it weighs 1.4 ounces. Now, I've really run the gamut on backcountry pillows, from taking 2 pillows and taping them together to using absolutely nothing. And I've slowly come back to bringing one ultralight, like I'm talking sub 2 ounce pillow. And then if I need to, I can supplement with some of my puffy clothes. I personally haven't run this pillow yet. It's actually on my Christmas list, so I'm hoping to get it as well. But I've owned a ton of equipment from Z-Packs, and they're one of the companies that I trust no matter what they make. They really make super high quality gear. It's usually pretty affordable for what it is, and I trust it a great deal. So almost anyone can take advantage of this gift. You don't have to worry about the size. You don't have to worry about the color. Only comes in one size, only comes in one color. And in fact, they even have an attachment cord option for it, so it will loop around the bottom of your sleeping pad and help it stay in place. Because if you've ever used one of these pillows, unless you have a sleeping bag that kind of has a built-in hood, it has a tendency when you lay down to kind of like shoot out the back of your head. So that cord helps it stay in place. But this would be a great gift for almost anybody. Up next, Wiggy's waders. I love these things. Okay, they weigh in at 11 ounces. They're $95 US. Also, all the links for everything that I talk about are going to be in the description below. So you can click on those and you're going to see exactly what I'm seeing here on the laptop. Now, the sizing for Wiggy's waders are based on your boot size. So if you are a size 11, you would buy large, because that's from 10 to 12, because you don't take your boots off when you wear Wiggy's waders. Now, what are Wiggy's waders? Wiggy's waders are an 11-ounce pair of waders that are meant for the backcountry, so that when you come to a creek crossing, you could strip down to your skivvies, you could go across in your boots and just get everything wet. You do have a bunch of different options. I have found that if I know I'm going to be crossing multiple creeks, like if it's a one-off, just take your boots and pants off, put your Crocs on, and suck it up, buttercup. But if you're going to be crossing them multiple times, or sometimes I'm following a pretty major water course up one drainage, and because you'll get cliffed out, you're kind of bouncing back and forth across the creek or stream. So if I know I'm going to be in that type of situation, I bring these things. They only weigh 11 ounces, and they're basically like individual legs waders that you pull on over top of your pants, your boots, everything. And then they got little buckles that you kind of loop in through your belt and they hold them up. And you can cross basically up to your crotch. Not a lot of guys are going to have these, so they're a great gift option for most people. They do come in really handy. Also, if you're hunting in a group of 2, 3, or 4 guys, you only got to bring one of these, because the one guy wears them across and then you just bundle them up and you throw them back across the river and the next guy wears them across. So Wiggy's waders. Now we're going to move on to stuff sacks. And I want to give some credit to the members at Mindful Reviews for coming up with some of these ideas. This in particular was an idea that I got from someone on the forums. All hunters can use dry bags. Now, you will also hear this call them stuff sacks. Personally, I don't buy just stuff sacks because stuff sacks aren't waterproof. And if I'm going to put a bunch of stuff in a bag already, if I'm going to expend that kind of energy, it might as well be a waterproof bag so I don't have to worry about leaving it out or putting it in my backpack if there's rain or anything like that. So I always buy dry bags. Now, I'm going to specifically recommend Dyneema dry bags. Again, we're going to go from Z-Packs because the stuff they make is top notch. They have a variety of sizes. You can get big ones for clothes, for food. I use 20-liter ones for my food. You can get 30-liter ones, or you can get smaller ones for kind of your electronics to keep your phone, your GPS, your inReach, all that kind of stuff protected, your batteries, all your cables. So there's a variety of sizes, a variety of prices. You know, these things run all the way from 2.2 liters all the way up to 14 liters, and in pricing all the way from $44 up to $73. So you got a ton of options depending on what you're into. Booties. Always a great gift idea for people who like to hunt in the cold. Now, I'm going to specifically recommend the Mech Expedition Gore-Tex booties, but I'm recommending these in principle, not necessarily this exact pair. I like high-rise booties. I want something that comes up to my knees, because when you step outside of the tent in the middle of the night to take a leak, if you're wearing those like little ankle booties and you go to take a step in a big snowbank to take a leak, they're going to fill with snow. You get back in your sleeping bag, your foot's cold and wet. It's just a nightmare all around. So I like the high-rise ones. Now, they don't need insulation all the way to the top. That's going to make them way too heavy. So I really like the Expedition Gore-Tex because the insulation comes up and over the ankle, but not all the way to the knee, but they've got coverage all the way to the knee to keep you dry and warm when you're walking around in really deep snow. Great camp boot in the wintertime, great to sleep in if you need to, if it gets super cold. These ones are on sale right now for $112 Canadian from MEC. I guarantee REI would have a very similar booty to these. But again, great gift idea for almost anybody. Up next, the Civivi Button Lock Elementum 2 G10 Black Everyday Carry Knife. So this is my go-to EDC knife right now, primarily because I have a tendency to lose EDC knives. Most of them I've lost hunting. I clip them into my pocket, and while I'm walking through brush, little twigs or branches, something always seems to grab that little bit that flips out and pulls it out of my pocket. And I've lost like a $350 Benchmade knife that way, and I just got sick of that. So I keep my EDC to under $100. That way, if I lose it, it's not the end of the deal. I really like this Civivi. It's got the button lock so you can flick it to open it. The Elementum 2, I strongly recommend because it has a finger tab so you can flip it open. I really like the G10 handle. The steel is nothing to write home about, like it's decent enough. But when you're just talking about an EDC knife for odds and ends and to have on in your pocket, when you need access to a knife quickly, it more than covers your needs. So again, that's the Civivi button lock, Elementum 2, G10, and you can get whatever color you want. I think the one I have is green, and they have some really cool additions. If you want to drop some more money, they got some Damascus blades, they've got some micarta handles, they've got wooden handles, lots to look at. I have the green G10 one, and I like it a lot. Now, the next item I'm about to post a review on because I was looking for the lightest weight, fastest boiling stove I could find. Now, as most of you will know who will follow me, I recently went to a Pocket Rocket, and then a bunch of people chimed in and said the Pocket Rocket is great because it's very light, but the boil times are actually about 30 to 40% longer than a jet boil or a reactor or something like that. So while on the surface it appears lighter, if you have to bring 30 to 40% extra fuel over the course of a 10 to 12 day hunt, it kind of offsets the weight balance and you might as well just stuck with the bigger, beefier stove. So I did a bunch of research, and the reason that it takes longer to burn is that you're using a flat bottomed titanium pot. Now, when you use a pot that has heating fins on it, which increase the surface area able to heat up, like on the bottom of a jet boil, you can get 30 to 40% faster boil times. So I found the Ollie Camp Kinetic TI stove with the XTS pot. And it's basically a titanium pot with fins on the bottom paired with a hyperlight burner that goes on top of an isobutane canister. Clocks in at $110 Canadian for the combo of the pot and the burner, so super affordable. I've ran it on 2 hunts so far, and I've had 0 issues with it. I can't comment on multi-year durability, but so far, so good. And I gotta run some timing tests later this month against the jet boil and the reactor. Initially, from my anecdotal tests, it burns much faster than the Pocket Rocket with a flat bottom titanium stove. So it appears to be a great option for ultra lightweight stove without increasing your burn times. Back to an MEC product. This is a silicone pack rain cover. Now, I went on a sheep hunt in August and it rained like the dickens the last 3 days, and everything in my backpack got soaked that wasn't in a dry bag, which was nothing mission critical, but it also made my pack significantly heavier for the last couple days. I've waffled on rain covers, and I traditionally don't use one. I just don't like carrying the extra stuff. But after really thinking about it, I decided to go back to using one, and that kind of made me go down the path of finding what was the best one. And I didn't want a big branded one on my backpack. Like, the KUIU one looks nice, but I run an EXO pack, and I just don't want a big KUIU flag on the back of my EXO pack. I know that might seem like a weird thing to worry about, but I was like, if I can get away without it, I just prefer not. And then I found these silicone ones at MEC, and they vary in size all the way from 10 to 15 liters up to 80 to 100 liters. And to put that in context, I have a 7,200 cubic inch pack from EXO, the K4, and I use the 80 to 100 liters, and it's plenty big. And I think the smaller one is $14, and the biggest one is 30 bucks. So this is almost like stocking stuffer territory here. And super handy, weighs in at 5 ounces for the large. So, I mean, that's not inconsequential. That's a little bit over 1/4 pound. So if there's no rain in the forecast, I wouldn't bother taking it. But if it looks like precipitation may occur, 5 ounces is not that big of a deal. Up next, Mechanics work gloves. So you want to get the newer ones because they have the conductive fingertips, so you can use a touch screen with your gloves on. These things are like 20 bucks a piece. You can buy them on Amazon. They're super rugged. You still have great dexterity, so you can use zippers and tie knots and eat your lunch and, you know, look at stuff on your phone without taking your gloves off in the cold weather. So it's funny because, you know, you go Sitka or KUIU or Stone Glacier, and you're basically going to pay like $100 for a pair of gloves that kind of does the same thing. I'm in the middle of a big glove review. The thing with gloves is like, there's no Goldilocks glove. Like, there's no glove that will keep you dry, that is waterproof, and you will still have dexterity with, that you aren't going to make your hands sweat like crazy. Like, you can have gloves that are waterproof, but you're probably going to lose dexterity. You can have gloves that are dexterous, but they're only going to keep you so warm. Like there's always a trade-off, and you don't want to be walking around the woods with 4 pairs of gloves in your backpack. But as far as like one pretty light all-purpose pair of gloves that you're going to get pretty reasonable use out of year-round, mechanics gloves are fantastic. Okay, for a local recommendation, I want to point people at the Huto exoskeleton knife. So these come in orange and green. This is a processing knife. It uses the replaceable blades just like the Havalon Piranha. Now I'm actually in the middle of putting a review together that will compare the Havalon against the Huto. Cole's notes of that one, my personal preference is the Huto. It has a larger handle, it fits my hand better, it's not wrapped in paracord like some of these come wrapped. I don't like that, it gets sticky with blood and it's just a pain in the butt. It has a nice squared finish to the exoskeleton material. I think it's aluminum, so it has nice edges for a good grip. I did a couple animals with this knife this year and I was really pleased with it. So that comes in at 125 Canadian and comes with 10 replaceable blades. But again, that's something that almost any hunter is going to find useful. Ultralight game bags. Now I'm going to put a link to the Argali ones. I think these are really great. I'm going to be honest with you. There are multiple versions of ultralight game bags out there these days. The kind of hallmark of an ultralight game bag is obviously that it doesn't weigh very much, but also that it's reusable and washable. Now, some of them have more bells and whistles than others. To tell you the truth, I don't think it's that big a deal. As long as they're antimicrobial, they're reusable, and they're somewhat light, they're gonna work. All you're doing is putting your meat in them. But I really like these Argali ones. They're $100 US. They come with 5 decent sized bags. Now, what you have to keep in mind is that typically you're either buying bone in or bone out game bags. Bone out game bags tend to be a little bit smaller, but they tend to have more structure to them. So that when you fill them with meat, they still maintain that kind of tubular structure, so they're easier to pack in your backpack. When you buy a bone in, it's not gonna have as much structure, but it's gonna be bigger. Because when you try and put a bone-in elk quarter, you need a really big bag. So you can get either. Argali sells both. I think for the backcountry hunter, having the boned out meat bags are a better idea because you can always take the bones out if you need to. And typically when you're in the backcountry and you're hiking your meat out, you want it to be as light as possible. So there you go. That is 10 gift ideas for the backcountry hunter in your life. Now, I didn't want to leave without throwing in a little bonus. And yes, this is kind of shameless self-promotion, but I wanted to put out there that a Mindful Reviews membership would be a fantastic gift for somebody. Now, there are 3 tiers of membership. There's monthly, annual, and lifetime. Monthly is $5 a month. Annual is $50 a year, and lifetime is $250 a year. All those prices are in US. Now, the only difference between all 3 memberships, other than the fact that you're saving money by going up each tier, is that with the lifetime membership, you are entered in a draw once a month to win a piece of premium hunting gear. Last year, I gave away a Sitka incinerator muff, which you can use to put your hands in while hunting whitetail on a stand. You could take it on any cold weather hunt to keep your hands warm. And I give away a great prize like that every month, and every single lifetime member gets entered into that draw. But all 3 tiers of membership can request products to review, participate in gear raffles, have full access to me, full access to the forums. We just crossed 300 members. I checked just before this video, we were at 304 members. We've only been open for a year. And for those of you who don't know, this is an online platform that I've built from the ground up. It's basically a membership-based community created around the idea of non-sponsored, unbiased gear reviews. So if you support what I do by not being sponsored and being as transparent and honest with you guys as possible about the quality or lack thereof in certain pieces of gear, I created a community where gear nerds could get together, support each other, and participate in the raffles for the gear that I raffle off on the channel. I guess that would be the other main selling feature of a channel. So right now, that bow raffle that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you need to be a member of Mindful Reviews to participate in those raffles. So forum access, access to me, raffle access, and monthly giveaways for lifetime members. And like I said, $5 a month, $50 a year, $250 for lifetime. So depending on how big of a gift you want to give to somebody, that could dictate kind of which of those tiers you purchased. So there you go. 2023 Christmas ideas gift list. If you've got any other ideas that you think are great, they could be small, they could be big, whatever you want, drop them in the comment section below, because I think it will be really helpful for people after watching the video to go see what kind of other ideas other people had. As always, any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to get in touch with me. And until next time, thank you for tuning in.